welcome. You're watching this special broadcast, Living Long and Healthy with COVID Vaccination. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, this is the program where we take up the most commonly asked questions from our viewers and something from our side as well, and take it up with the experts to bring you some concrete answers. So regarding vaccination, lots of questions as well, and very delighted to have with us two doctors joining us from the south of the country today. Dr. Suresh, who is a senior interventional cardiologist. He joins us from Gum in Karnataka, and Dr. Sandeep, he is a consultant and interventional cardiologist in Kerala. First question to Dr. Suresh though. Dr. Suresh, at a time when everybody is urging people to get vaccinated, whenever your turn comes, take the vaccination, take whatever vaccine you get, they're all good. The question really on everybody's mind is, especially both the doses of the COVID vaccine still got COVID. And this has now led to people asking, well, why should we get the vaccine if you're going to get COVID anyways? Could you just cut down that for our viewers on why it is important to take the vaccine even still, and what is the connection of the vaccine to the infection?
To answer your question in one word, yes, it's possible to have the infection even after taking the COVID vaccination. First of all, we need to understand how this COVID vaccine works. Actually, whenever a vaccine is given, people think that vaccine is going to prevent the disease, but it is not so. Whenever we give a vaccine, it is given to reduce the severity of the disease. And we need to understand that when we give a vaccine, vaccines will take certain period of time to stimulate the immune system in the body. In case of COVID, it takes about 14 days. Once you take a jab, it takes about 14 days for the immune system to be activated and the body to identify an antigen and to fight against it and to neutralize the antigen that has been there. So whether you take after the first jab or after the second jab, for the immunity to develop, it takes about 14 days. So it is quite natural, to get, one may get exposed to COVID during this period and can have a COVID disease. But one should also remember at this stage that a person who takes a COVID vaccine and a person who doesn't take a COVID vaccine, supposing if there are 10 patients who has taken a COVID vaccine and 10 patients who has not taken a COVID vaccine, after 10 patients who take a COVID vaccine, none of them will develop a severity of severe disease. Majority of them remain asymptomatic. If at all, one person will develop mild disease and one may develop a moderate disease, but none will have a severe disease. But this is not the story in a patient who has not taken a vaccine, where 10% of the individuals, that is 1 in 10, will definitely have a severe symptoms who is exposed to a COVID infection.
Right. And Dr. Suresh, can people still land up in hospitals after they've got vaccinated? Is that a possibility?
That is a very rare possibility. Very mild symptoms after taking a vaccines have been noted. But the allergic reactions which does occur following this COVID vaccinations are very, very rare. And the benefit that what we get because of the vaccinations are much more than the side effect of it. I think we need to concentrate on the benefit that we get. And very, very rarely, few cases can have a symptoms and end up in hospital.
Right.
Very
and
rarely.
Since you brought up that issue of side effects, let me take that to Dr. Sandeep now. Dr. Sandeep, Kerala, one state, like I said right in the beginning of the program as well, which has really been a model case. Second wave also, they managed to control somehow. The numbers are not rising, at least at the moment. When people have been coming out for vaccination, I'm sure there are lots of questions regarding the common side effects, etc., that can come up. How do you answer those questions, especially to try and tell people that get vaccinated? And like Dr. Suresh said, the benefits far outnumber the side effects. But if they were to come up in different age groups, what would they be really?
Actually, the most common side effects that we normally see is, first of all, the vaccine is taken in the left deltoid or the left shoulder. You can get a pain, swelling, and a soreness in that area. That is the most common side effect that is seen. Many of the patients have myalgia, some have low-grade fever, some have fatigue. These are the most common side effects that are seen. And in Covaxin especially, some abdominal symptoms, some abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting has been seen. which is more common in Covaxin than Covishield. But otherwise, the side effects that we see with vaccine is very minor, and compared to the impact, the main problem why patients ask for it is because when they see a person is COVID positive, he sits in his house, by 10th day he's recovery, he's going off. But we doctors are witnessing that 1% of patients who's going into mortality. And if you see the suffering that he goes through and the morbidity that he goes through, it is really disheartening. So for me, vaccine should be taken. Whatever small fever, pain, whatever is that, it is a big risk. If you get a COVID pneumonia, you get a destroyed lungs, you are crippled for life.
And trust your doctors, if they are getting it, they're surely keeping their own safety in mind as well. So, go ahead with that vaccine. That's been our motto at NDTV at least. Dr. Suresh, the next question to you really, when it comes to post-recovery treatment for COVID-19 patients, could you run our viewers through what exactly is that? Post-recovery, we've seen, especially with younger people, taking longer. There have been certain cases we've seen in our circles as well, where there are some patients who take much longer than the other to recover from COVID-19. And also to bring in a vaccine angle there, if you have taken the vaccine, how does that cut down your post-recovery period really?
Normally, whenever there is a COVID infection, it usually takes about few weeks to recover. And the RT-PCR report to come negative. But once the RT-PCR report comes negative, it is not the end of the disease. There are quite a good number of patients, say about 10% of the patients who have suffered from a COVID infection continue to have some kind of symptoms or signs over a longer period. What we call them as a long haulers or a long COVID disease. We know that this COVID not only affects the lungs, though it predominantly affects lungs, it does affect the heart, brain, as well as the blood system in the body. So we can continue to have the symptoms related to any of the or most of these disease affection. Person can continue to have fatigability, weakness, uneasiness, loss of sleep, irritability, persistent nagging cough, palpitation, some chest pain, lack of memory. So there are various symptoms that continue to occur in these individuals for a very long period of time. And to treat these individuals, even once the RT-PCR comes negative, we need to encourage them to go to their family doctor or any consultant for a regular checkup and to get evaluated. They have to be evaluated. And once having been evaluated the patient, we need to encourage them to have a good healthy diet, balanced diet, immune boosting diet. So the simple message or a mantra for these individuals should be to have a good healthy diet, immune boosting diet, good sleep, and good mental health should be the way to go for it.
All right. Next question to Dr. Sandeep. Really, Dr. Sandeep, since you're a cardiologist, a lot of questions comes from people with a heart condition, underlying, some active. What are the things that they should keep in mind while considering a vaccination process? And I understand every case is different, so all patients need to consult their cardiologist while they're going for a vaccine, or even if there are some post-vaccine symptoms. Some of the common things perhaps that you can share with our viewers.
Yeah, basically there are actually the patients who are having heart disease, especially there are two groups. One is those who are having coronary artery disease with blockages, and the other one, those who are having heart failure. It is always seen that viral infections can trigger heart failure. The infection can lead to a heart failure, and if a patient who has COVID-19 develops heart failure, the mortality is very high. So otherwise, there is actually no contraindication from a cardiac side for a vaccine. Only thing is, those patients who are on anticoagulations especially need to be a little careful, because especially those who are on warfarin or azithromycin, or those patients who are on direct oral anticoagulants. They may have a little bigger swelling than the normal people because they are on blood thinners, anticoagulants. So it always, before they go for a vaccine, it's better to get a cardiologist's opinion regarding whether they can take it or not. And how can we, what do we normally recommend is that if a patient is on warfarin or azithromycin, it's always better to see his INR. And if it's above the upper limit, that is normally we keep it 2 to 3. If it's above 3, it's better to avoid the vaccine because that may produce a hematoma in the site of injection. Otherwise, he can go for it with a smaller needle like a 23 gauge. And a longer time of compression. Normally we give for 1 or 2 minutes of long compression. For these patients, they may require a 5 minutes compression so that they don't develop a hematoma. Otherwise, there is no contraindication for vaccination if you're a cardiac patient. Better to go for it. Prevent the complications of COVID-related heart disease.
Let's dip into a break now. When we come back, more questions regarding the vaccination process, and our experts will take them for you. See you in a bit. Welcome back. You are watching our special broadcast, Living Long and Healthy with COVID-19 Vaccination. And here on NDTV, we are constantly trying to bring you the authentic voices, correct voices of doctors and experts to tell you it is safe to get vaccinated and why you must consider it. But there are things that you have to keep in mind. So here are the doctors sort of bringing you all the answers to that. Let me go in to Dr. Suresh now to understand a few more details. Dr. Suresh, we've been looking at, with the second wave also going up, we've seen now more and more beds inside hospitals, ICU units, etc. being used for COVID-19. It has obviously taken a toll on the other surgeries at this point as well. And then there are those who were scheduled for surgeries but now having a rethink on what to do with their surgeries, keeping COVID in mind. So what are the basic COVID protocols or questions one must be asking themselves or the doctors if they are undergoing surgery in the times of COVID-19?
Yeah, in the time of COVID-19, elective surgery, when we speak, there are three groups of patients that what we come across actually. One group of patients who doesn't have a COVID infection and he is RT-PCR negative. He can straightway go for elective surgery. There is absolutely no problem in a planned way, as usual, how we have been doing it in the past. But there are another group of patients who are having COVID symptoms and is RT-PCR positive. Definitely, we should not plan any elective surgery in such individuals who are COVID positive. And the third group of the individuals are those who have already suffered from a COVID infection and now they are RT-PCR negative. And these people need to undergo an elective surgery. The various societies of the surgeons have given various guidelines, but the one guideline that what I recommend is American Society of Anesthetists, who give anesthesia to these individuals. They play a most important role and they have given certain guidelines for us how to go about it. If the person has been asymptomatic and having had a COVID infection and recovered from it, asymptomatic, so elective surgery can be planned in that group of individuals after 4 weeks. Supposing if the person has a very mild symptoms, not been hospitalized but quarantined, surgery is to be planned after 6 weeks. If the person has got moderate symptoms, having quarantined or admitted in a hospital or in a diabetic or a immunocompromised individual, if it is there, elective surgery is to be planned after 8 to 10 weeks of recovering from the COVID infection. Supposing if there is a patient who has been admitted in the ICCU and required aggressive care, his elective surgery needs to be planned after 10 to 12 weeks.
Dr. Sandeep, talk to us a little bit about the Kerala phenomenon and how is it that Kerala is one state which, interestingly, saw a massive surge in the first wave, saw a massive surge in the second wave as well, but somehow now has managed to control numbers. What has Kerala done then, say perhaps what Maharashtra was not able to do?
First of all, we were actually aware when, if you remember the COVID pandemic, it started in Wuhan. And if you remember, the first case which was recorded in India was actually from Kerala. There were students from China who were actually coming to Kerala, and they were the first cases who were, so from the day one, we already started a protocol where we, in every local body of the government hospitals, we had a team where we used to isolate the patient, we used to quarantine them, we used to make a roadmap, we used to find out who all where the person coming into contact. We used to send all those people into quarantine, and meticulous testing was done. So that was the main method. So mainly we intervened early, I feel.
Dr. Suresh, again, a cardiology related question to you. People who have undergone surgeries in the past few days, for example, a bypass surgery or any other cardiac related surgery, really no prize for guessing that they need to stay safe even more than, say, a regular person. But in case they do contract the virus and test positive, what are the things they should be doing immediately?
So they have to immediately go and see the doctor first, their cardiologist. They have to be quarantined. And they need to take their regular medications continuously. And they should follow the regular protocol, whether they have got a mild disease, moderate disease, or a severe disease. Sticking to the regular protocols, these patients with a heart surgery will not differ from other group of the individuals. And they need to concentrate on proper diet, as I told. And diet and medications are going to be definitely helpful to the individuals who have undergone a bypass surgery or in the recent past or anything. An important thing, if the person has not taken a vaccine, immediately after recovery, we should vaccinate these individuals.
Right. All these things very important to keep in mind. Dr. Sandeep, last question to you really. Another trend that we've seen come up of late has been that no longer are the young in the country or the younger lot can think that they'll be able to fight out the virus quite easily. The more and more doctors I'm speaking with, I'm getting to understand that it's the young people who are actually landing up in ICUs as well now, 30 and 40 years old. To them, in fact, to people, and this is such a frequently asked question, to people who simply do not have the choice to stay indoors, who have to go out, who are the breadwinners for the family, what precautions can they take to really stay out of the woods, stay out of danger? Vaccine clearly one of them, isn't it? Perhaps pressing the government to open the vaccine for all.
Yeah. See, if you see, take the case of a breadwinner, you can see, take doctors as your reference, because we are also breadwinners. And we have to fight, we have to see the patient.
We have to come out to work no matter what.
Yeah, but the difference is that we are actually facing COVID patients daily.
That's true.
And we know we are keeping, we are actually, it's like a sacrificing our life. So what do? We do the same thing. We go for a hand wash. We use the alcohol sanitization for, after seeing every patient, use mask always, keep universal distancing. So all those policies have to be continued. That's how we were able to control the first wave. And vaccine, I think probably will be coming down now. Every 40, above the age of 45 years, everybody is going to get vaccinated. So the basic principles of COVID treatment, management or prevention, that is hand wash, mask, and social distancing, that has to be followed. There's no compromise in that. Just because you're vaccinated, you cannot say that you may not get infected. And so that is not, there's no data regarding that. That is, if you get vaccinated, you can get the disease. Okay. Only thing is that you will not get a severe disease, or the intensity of the disease may be less. That's all. So the basic principles of COVID management has to be followed. That is hand wash, so social distancing, and face mask.
That's true. Even after vaccination, that's a very good note to actually end the show on. Even if you've got yourself vaccinated, which we really urge you to, that does not mean you have license to do and go back to always, how much ever we might want to do that. You know, the virus is not going anywhere. It's clearly adapting itself, mutating, fighting harder by the day to try and survive and win this race against the humans. But we really got to do our bit. Even after vaccination, we have to follow COVID protocol to ensure that we are safe and those around us are safe as well. Thank you both, Dr. Suresh and Dr. Sandeep, for taking out the time and giving us such valuable answers to what really needs to be the way ahead. We really hope to our viewers that this has been helpful. If you have some questions, you can always reach out to us and we'll have doctors answer them for you as well. This is a broadcast that is dedicated only to answering all your queries that you might have regarding the vaccination process. But let's just end on reminding you that please get yourself vaccinated. That's your only license, not just yours, the world's only license to come out of this pandemic. Thanks for watching. See you again later.